Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to episode 18 of the Fightersrep podcast. And I'm absolutely elated today to be joined by the Fightersrep super middleweight champion of the world, the Big Show, Joseph Parker, and also my co-host, Gary Martin. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
That's right.
Good.
Doing well, George. Thank you for asking.
Man, champ, you're looking great. You're glowing. It must feel good to be the champ. Tell me a little bit about, what you've been up to since the last Fightersrep where you captured the super middleweight title.
Since the last fight, we enjoyed, celebrated the victory. We came back, brought the belt back to the dojo, put it back in its rightful place right there on the wall, made sure everybody could see it, brought it back home. And then we moved on to training up some of the younger guys that are getting ready for their first fights coming up soon. So we're, just back into training camp and doing some of the coaching stuff, helping out Giovanni LaRue with that side of things. And, that's all.
Yeah. Well, it was a fantastic performance at Fightersrep 20, man. I think a lot of people didn't know what to expect in that fight, Big Show, because, he had been surging. Dylan Ludwig had really been surging, as had you. And you had captured the title from a very tough Christian Zoller. And, these guys had been fighting for us for a while, very tough guys. You kind of made a big splash and exploded onto the scene. You were doing mostly Muay Thai. You jumped into the Fightersrep lines. Then I feel like this kickboxing rule set has really suited you. Kind of tell me about that first, and we'll get into the other stuff. How has this kickboxing rule set kind of made you feel? Because you've looked really good in this kickboxing rule set.
I appreciate that. Yeah, so the kickboxing rule set did change a few things, just knowing that we weren't able to just hang out in the clinch for forever. So that did change a lot. Also, the elbows. There were a few times where I was like, okay, I gotta hold it back. So there's a couple times I had to really pull back on that, but I could definitely feel it when I was being conscious because I knew that would have, disqualification. We don't want that to happen. But I enjoy the striking element, that there's more striking involved. That always just helps things out. I prefer striking than what I do stay in the clinch forever. It's more fun. I enjoy the rule set that we have at Fightersrep. It's a lot more fun. Yeah.
I like to hear that, and I think that's a glowing testimonial for the kickboxing.
Here's the thing, George. I always get in the clinches though because I'm enclosed, and so I always end up in these like crammed positions, right? Yeah. Which didn't work out this fight. It didn't work out for my opponent Ludwig, but yeah, I mean that's always the case. But there's a few times I try to push him off because I'm like, let's get back to striking, So.
You mentioned that you kind of cut out there for a second. You got kicked out of the room real quick. You mentioned that you end up in a clinch. Why do you think that happens? Because I've noticed that there was some tying up going on. Why do you think that happens to you?
Yeah, I believe it's the opponents wanting to get on the inside and then over exploding. And then a lot of times, like I noticed that if I'm getting in my bag or if I'm kind of flowing, my gloves have been caught a couple times. So I've had a couple times where the gloves have been held, some things like that. But then also because I am used to Muay Thai, it is just natural that as soon as to a clinch situation, that's just like is the Wi-Fi okay? Connection's good?
I think you're cutting out. You're cutting out. So you just cut out and came back in.
Okay, so I'm on 5G Wi-Fi right now, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off and go to data because I have good signal, so it should be fine.
Great. Okay, and while you do that, ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, be sure to subscribe to the channel as we wait for the Big Show to get his his data signal on, and of course, Fightersrep tickets. Gary, for Fightersrep 21 and 22, they go on sale the day after tomorrow. So those are tickets for Fightersrep 21 and 22.
Are we back on?
21, of course, we're hoping for that to be in Florida. 22, we're hoping we know it's going to be in Los Angeles, and hopefully we'll have the Big Show back to defend his title on March 2nd. But it looks like hopefully the signal's a bit more stable now. So tell me what you were talking to me about there, Joe.
Yeah, so it's natural when you come from Muay Thai. You train Muay Thai. All the fights previous to coming to Fightersrep have been in Muay Thai. So it's just natural to go right into the clinch. As soon as someone gets close, you naturally go into the clinch to land the elbows, to try to find the knees, which were successful in the last fight. But it's natural to jump into the clinch. But then I have to remind myself, all right, back to striking. So.
Awesome. And Gary, of course, I don't want to be the only one talking. You can feel free to chime in and ask the big Joe.
I'll let you go first. You know, I'm kind of different. I ask different questions. You seem like a nice guy. You look at you seem like a nice guy, a friendly guy. But what happened to you when you step in the ring? Because you are really aggressive in that ring. You're looking to end something.
That's the goal. That's always the goal. You do have to switch it up. You know, Sensei Mark, my sensei over here at House of Champions, is also the owner of House of Champions. He always tells me the same thing. He says, look, you're a nice guy. You know, you like to be friendly with people. But once you hop in there, there's no more nice guy. You have to be killer. You have to be 100% ready to strike first and strike last, you know? So that's
I see you flip that switch.
Yeah. And Gio calls me Two-Faced. He calls me
Hey, that's a good name now.
Yeah. A big shout out to Gio LaRue. He's talking about Gio LaRue, one of his coaches and training partners out there in House of Champions, a guy that we've been wanting to get into the Lions Den as well. So, Joseph, you know, you kind of jumped right into things. You fought Christian Zoller, dominant performance against a very tough guy in Zoller, who's a former champion himself. You know, and you jumped right into the deep end against Dylan Ludwig, again, a guy that was surging.
Right.
And it's interesting. It was an interesting fight, right? The math didn't math, but it was an interesting fight.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because, you know, I know you fought Khosrow Sadarov 2 times. I know you guys have split. He won 1, you won 1. The last time you fought, he actually had, I think, a decision over you. And he lost. He ended up losing to Ludwig.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, this is going to be interesting. Now Ludwig is fighting, had beat Khosrow, who just came off of a decision win against Parker. I wonder what's going to happen here. But, man, you really – I mean, talk me to the lead up and through the fight, you know, because you were really, really very dominant in that fight.
Yeah, well, first of all, I appreciate that. You know, I mean, we had a good game plan going in. We knew that his goal was immediately from the get-go to try to finish it in the first round. I know he wanted to put a lot of pressure on. I think he was coming off of a knockout win in MMA prior to, where he knocked the guy out just from putting in a lot of pressure. Same thing with, you saw the fight with Haas, when him and Haas were fighting. You know, that was like an super explosive fight, you know, viral clip. They were both putting on mad pressure from the very beginning. So we knew exactly what kind of approach we were looking at. And then as soon as he gassed out, I knew that was going to happen. And, you know, everything just fell into place. Game plan just worked. But, yeah, so that's all I got to say about that.
Well, you wrote the dope. You wrote the dope. You out-lead him. I said you out-lead him. You wrote the dope.
Why? Because of the head movement, or what do you mean?
Because you said you waited for him to tire out.
Yeah.
You knew he was gonna gas.
I knew he was gonna gas, and I knew that he was gonna. I knew he was going to get overzealous, is what it was.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah.
Overzealous. So
put too much or too early and tired himself out.
Yeah, that's what it was. But the whole thing with Haas, I feel like beating Ludwig, because I split it with Haas, 1 win, 1 loss with Haas, and then he lost to Ludwig. I feel as though that was a little bit of, like, for me, that was a personal thing. I feel like I got my win back. You know what I mean? I feel like I got my win. So technically, I'm 8-0 now. Take that loss away.
Are you looking for a trilogy? So is that you acting for a trilogy?
I'm back to. Haas has got to beat Ludwig. He's got to beat a couple guys first. Let him beat a couple guys first.
I see. So at this point, you're like 1.5 versus 1 over Haas.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that.
Interesting. The mind of a fighter, and I absolutely love it. One thing I wanted to commend you on, again, you know, all of these fights, right? We put these fights together, Joseph, and they're very 50-50, you know, and I think a lot of people, maybe not you, obviously you're the fighter, you think you're going to win most likely, But, I think objectively speaking, right, a lot of people were probably looking at this fight and thought, man, this is 50-50. Joseph's got the length. He's a tough guy. But Ludwig, he's very, very sharp and aggressive on the inside. And he showed us he was a level above what we thought in beating Khosrow. So I felt like this, it was a 50-50 fight, but you just kind of showed up more prepared on the night. You were just a sharper guy, more prepared. And what I was really impressed with was your work on the inside. I mean, is that something that you kind of already have the ability to do, or is that something you really worked on for Ludwig? Because for a tall, lanky guy, right, who like you said in the lead up to the fight, limbs flying all over the place, be careful if you're sitting ringside, you fight well on the inside.
I appreciate that, George. Well, it is something that we have worked, but it's also one of those things where there isn't many two guys I'm 6'3", right? So there isn't too many guys when you go to gyms that are going to be the same height as me. So most of the fights end up being either having to defend the inside or just having to, sometimes you got to stand and just let them know, hey, even if you are on the inside, it's still going to be a problem for you. You know what I mean? That's the idea you have to go in with. I'm not trying to just always stay long all the time, although that is something that's in my arsenal. Sometimes you do have to put your foot down and just let them know, it's not safe for you anywhere, So,
okay. I like that talk.
And the other thing I'm impressed with you, Joe, is your pace. Your pace was he had a very frantic pace, and you matched it the whole way through, and then got the finish really with the body shot, man. Two things that are impressive, if you ask me for an amateur. Can you speak on that a little bit, if you can hear me? Because I think your picture's frozen here. Yeah, he's frozen.
Yeah. And you picked that up good. I didn't see he was frozen.
Yeah. I noticed this demeanor didn't change. So, Joe, I'm gonna knock you out, knock you back in, and just sign right back in if you can hear me. But yeah, I was wondering. Here he is. Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm back in.
Okay. Mariah Hale says not the data again. Yeah, I mean it's looking like you tell Mark Parra to get the aluminum off the ceiling over there, Joe. We can't talk to you, brother. Let's try it one more time. Let's try it one more time. So shout out to Mariah Hales who's in here. Shout out to Hung Bo. And of course, if you guys have any questions for Big Show Joe or for any of us, feel free to drop it. Okay, so we're gonna give him some time. So again, while he's getting back in here, again, remember guys, Fightersrep 21 and 22 tickets go on sale December 6th. That's the day after tomorrow. And it's going to be a fantastic show. You get your tickets at fightersrep.com. So, Joe, like I was saying before we lost you to the and he's back again. Okay. Oh, all right, brother.
It says full signal. It's completely full bars. It's full. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know, man. It's all good. We're gonna fight through it the way you fought through that title defense.
I'm with it.
So I was impressed by your pace. I was impressed by the body shot. Two things you really don't see all the time from amateurs, right? That relentless pace, and that body work that got you the finish, man. Like very, very intelligent game planning. Kind of tell me about that, or give me any thoughts on that, because that really stuck out to me.
Yeah. So the pacing. Well, first of all, I mean, we have. Well, this shirt says unstoppable, right? House of Champions unstoppable. And we have another shirt that says relentless. That's the attitude that we always try to have over here and bring over here is unstoppable, relentless. Mark Parra is always like, you have to just be relentless. Like no matter what, you just keep on going. That's one of the things that got us through COVID when they tried to shut the gym down. It was just that relentless sort of spirit that we have here. It's like, nah, we're staying, we're remaining no matter what. Whatever the restrictions are, we're going to figure out, find a way to make it work and find a way to win. So that's one of the things I like about being here. So that translates into the ring too. But then on top of that too, coming from, having playing rugby league, it's like you're playing 60 minutes, not getting subbed for a whole game. So you're just playing 60 minutes where you have to just keep a good pace the entire time. So having that sort of pace control, learning the skills from there translates as well. So, and then the body shot, I mean, the knees were just there. We worked all the body work too.
Yeah. Did you study him ahead of time? Was body, were the body shots part of the game plan? I mean, what was kind of the game plan going in with Ludwig? If that's something you want to share, because there's always the possibility you guys run into each other in the future. But if you're comfortable sharing it, I would love to know what the game plan was, because it was brilliant. It worked to a T.
Yeah, well, he's got a good left hook. We know that he has a nice left hook, and he kind of does like a shovel hook with it. So he'll either hit the body or he'll hit the chin, but it's not like a real obvious hook that's coming around, like way around the side. So we knew that as soon as in order to get that shovel hook, he had to be in close range. So when he was in close range, we knew that other things were going to be available too. So there was a few other options that we had, but yeah. So that's what we were. Well, we knew what he wanted to land, and so I wanted him to feel comfortable landing that, so that we could execute the rest of the game plan.
I see. Now, another thing I heard, and this is kind of behind the scenes kind of stuff, is, I heard you were the way you guys were staring at each other in the weigh-in, there was a lot of respect there. We lost him again, and here we go. He's back. We're good.
Good? Okay.
So the way you guys were kind of staring each other down at the weigh-in, I noticed it was very tense. There was a lot of respect there. It was very tense. A lot of serious competitive energy. It did seem there was a lot of respect between the two of you. I heard you were almost, I don't want to say scared, but apprehensive to the point where maybe you felt like it leveled you up in that fight. You knew this guy was going to come out and try to get you out of there in one round, and it kind of got you up to another level. I mean, am I right about that? The anticipation, the apprehension of fighting a guy that is trying to get you out of there in one round, because that's really their style over there.
Sure.
Did that play on your performance?
It wasn't the fact that he was trying to get me out in one round. What put me on edge or gave me an extra sense of awareness was the knowing that how much he wanted it. He's coming he's on his win streak, right? He was on his win streak, and he hadn't had a belt before. It was I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was his first title shot.
Right.
So for him, there was a lot of pressure and nerves for him. And with that, it's dangerous. That's dangerous. A man that feels a lot of pressure, feels a lot of nerves, and wants it. Like, you could tell that he wanted it really bad. And he was willing to, to fight, to go up to what he said, any weight. When he first called out the title, he was like, any weight class, I don't care. I'm like, okay, this man is serious and he's not to be played with. So that was what just heightened the senses a little bit, knowing how serious he was, he was taking it.
Once you got into the ring with him, was there anything that kind of made you go, oh, got to watch out for that, or surprised you or anything like that once you got in? Or was it you got in almost kind of like, oh, yeah, I can handle this. Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I got this.
Yeah, he was moving. It was the movement, the lateral movement a lot kind of threw me off a little bit to begin with, just because I was expecting him to come straight forward, but he was and then put the pressure on. I know it cut out a little bit, but yeah, he was trying to zigzag and put the pressure on. And so I wasn't necessarily anticipating the zigzagging so much or the sideways movement, but none of the shots surprised me. None of the shots surprised me too much, but yeah.
One thing I thought that was funny too, and this is to piggyback off the last question I had for you, was at the face-off, you said, man, that mustache is intimidating.
Yeah, because it's so prudent. It's just like, boom, right there in your face. You got to have a lot of testosterone to grow a mustache like that, Okay.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, I thought that was so funny, but I mean, you have a point. It does require a lot of testosterone.
That's right. Own it, George. Own it.
Oh, that was fantastic, man. So now you're a multi-sport champion. You've become a Muay Thai champion. Now you're a kickboxing champion. And I feel like the kickboxing one is more important to you because you like kickboxing better, and we have that documented. I'm just messing with you.
Yeah. I'm held. I'm legally held to this now.
but what can we expect, right? And of course, I'm hoping to get you back in March. But I'm the kind of guy that I want you guys to do what you think is best for your career. So obviously we want you back. But some of the guys, they do kickboxing because they want to transition to Muay Thai or MMA, or they want to do kickboxing or boxing even. So what is it, what is it that we can expect next from you? What's kind of your short term and then your long term goal?
Well, I'm looking at I mean, first of all, I do love kickboxing. I love striking, love kickboxing, and I do plan on fighting with Fightersrep again, continuing to fight with Fightersrep. But I know that you guys have a show in Miami, right? There's a show in Miami that maybe we can discuss further on, I'd love to get on that show, see some of the, maybe some Cuban guys or whatever. I don't know what kind of fighters they have out there, but I would love to go to Miami and compete. That'd be great. So there's that. But I do want to stay in striking. Even if I am doing MMA, I would still like to do both sports. But I also appreciate the ground game. So I have been working a little bit of grappling just because I appreciate it so much. And then also coming from a rugby background, it's all tackling and takedowns. It's all just like, so semi-wrestling. So, I do appreciate that side of combat sports too. So I don't want to limit. I just want to make sure potential is being used fully,
Understandable. And that's very, that reminds me of one of Roy Jones's interviews where he said, when he goes to, they asked him why he's fighting so long. I don't know if you guys have seen it. And he says one day when he gets back to God, he wants to tell him, hey, you gave me this potential. Yeah. And I know you're a God-fearing man too, which Absolutely. I appreciate very much. And he says, when I get back to God, I want to tell him, you gave me this potential. I used it to the fullest. Yeah. Thank you very much,
Yeah. I think that's one of the most important things is what you do with the gifts that God gives you is important, You don't want to be like the, I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the 10 talents, but, the long story short, it's good to use the gifts that you're given. If you don't put them to work and you come back with nothing or you bury them away, they waste away. One of my grandfather told me before he passed, he said, I was like, what's one piece of life advice that you could give me? He said, you're either going forwards or you're either going backwards. There's no in between, So like, if you're not progressing, if you're not moving forward in the areas that you want to move forward with, then you're moving back, So same thing with the gifts God gives you. If you don't put them to work, it's almost like a disservice to him, The Almighty Creator gives you a gift from him, and it's like, oh, I'm not even going to use it. He's like, well, that could have, who knows who that could have helped or what I could have did with that, So,
Yeah.
And take it from the old guys, they go. When they go, they're gone. Yeah. So you miss them.
Gary used to play football, believe it or not.
I can see it.
Hey, when he said rugby, I'm like, rugby, that's my guy right there.
Joseph, man, so long term, you were kind of political on that one. Are you open to everything? Or are we going to see you in the UFC? Are we going to see you at ONE FC? Are you going to be the one that takes Fightersrep to the mainstream, to the next level? I mean, what's going to happen here with Joseph Parker's career going forward?
Long term, we do want to go MMA. Long term, we are looking at MMA. But look, there's also a verse in the Bible that says not to say what will happen tomorrow I can't say what will happen tomorrow. I can only say God willing, I do MMA. God willing, I go to MMA. God willing, I go to the UFC. But in order for me to plan out and make my whole life, make that my whole identity, that's foolish. I think it's foolish because I don't know what can happen tomorrow. I can only say God willing that I go to MMA. God willing that I join the UFC. God willing that I progress in my career to the highest potential. God willing, Fightersrep becomes the top striking show in the world. That's what I'm saying.
God willing. God willing.
Hey, that man went to quoting Bible verses on you, George. Get off his back.
I gotta lay it down.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Joe, man, again, fantastic performance. You got a lot of traction on our social media. I don't know how it's been affecting you. One thing that I wish is that, I guess more of the promotions would try harder to have a social media presence and really push you guys out there. And that's definitely something I'm trying to do. I mean, have you noticed any difference in, you know, the attention you're getting since becoming a champion, especially in multiple sports, since fighting for us? Have you noticed anything different? Are you reaching out to more sponsors, or any reaching out to you? Has anything changed for you, or is it kind of the status quo?
Well, I think credibility. I think Fightersrep does offer fighters a sense of credibility that a lot of other promotions don't offer, just because the production quality is really important, especially in a digital age. So like with the promotion that Fightersrep does, it adds a sense of reputation. That it's not just like some backyard brawls, some backyard, like no rules, some ref that's never, seen the sport in his life. And he's just like, I don't know, that guy looks dizzy, so wave it off kind of thing. Like, like it's, there's professionalism, and there's also a sense of production quality that I think helps the fighters a lot. And it's helped me with credibility just in even when it comes to like teaching and things like that too. But yeah, I mean, I have a private Instagram, so I'm not like, it doesn't, I'm not getting like followers like that, or my stuff isn't really out there like that.
Yeah.
I know you hate that. I know you don't like that.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, if you're tuning in, follow him on Instagram at The Big Show Joe and sponsor him. Support this young man. If you need me to be the middleman to do it, I'm happy to do it. And any super chat that you guys drop in this video or afterwards, I will split the profit with him. But follow these young men. If you have a business, you put your logo on his shorts, on his shirt, you tattoo it on his back, maybe with a temporary tattoo. That's a write-off for your business, and you're supporting a young man that's got fantastic talent. Joseph, man, I really appreciate your time, man. Listen, so impressed, because you mentioned the production and everything else, but one thing I really pride myself on is putting guys in there with tough fights that I believe are going to develop them and make them better. And you've passed with flying colors, man. So big congrats on that. Is there anything you want to say before I let you go? And me and Gary are going to move on to some other segments about boxing. You're more than welcome to stick around to give your opinion. But, if you want to get back to, teaching class, whatever it is, we're okay with that as well. But is there anything you want to say? Anyone you want to shout out? Floor is yours.
Giovanni LaRue, my coach, got to give a big shout out to him. He's, he's really put in the dedication and put in hours where he didn't have to, outside of like, just for the love and like not even for like money, like he's just been like putting in a lot more than what he needs to. House of Champions for allowing us, to train here and to represent this dojo here and the amount of training that comes from here as well. So House of Champions, Giovanni LaRue, my family back home, Bariah Hales, that is one of my friends from back home, from back in New Zealand. So let's go, bro. So shout out to you, shout out to Bariah, shout out to the rest of my family back in New Zealand. And Jesus Christ is King. And that's it. That's all I got to say.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You're free to stick around. I mean, I don't know what your schedule's like. Do you want to stick around, or do you want to head back to your gym? I can
hear class out there. I got to help out with some things. And
got
boxing,
you.
And
we lost.
No,
go ahead, Joe.
That's the sign right there. I thought you just cut me off. You were like, nah, you're going. See you later.
No, I would never. But thank you so much for your time, Joe. Again, we really all look forward to watching you fight again, man.
Appreciate you, George, Gary. You guys have a great night, great day. Peace out. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, champ. Thank you, champ. Take care, champ. God bless, champ. All right, so that's a really great guy in Joe Parker, our super middleweight champion at Fightersrep, and I expect big things from him. And now, Gary, well, I got to tell everyone, please subscribe to the channel. But now, Gary, we're going to move on to some other things here. We're going to talk a little bit about boxing. Ryan Garcia fought on Saturday night against Oscar Duarte. And you give your defense for saying that David Benavidez is not an elite fighter. Is the argument he's not special, or is the argument he's not elite? What's the argument that we're going to be having here today?
I mean, the argument is, well, like I told you before, I think he's a very good fighter at this point. but he's not elite. He's not elite yet. He's not elite yet.
What about special?
You throw around elite too much. He's not elite yet.
What about
in his division? Yeah. Huh?
What about special? The word special, does that apply to him or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, let's start off with Ryan Garcia versus Oscar Duarte. Gary, I kind of gave my opinion on it yesterday in a video. I didn't think, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I think you might see it my way. I didn't think he looked that good, man. I think this 135-pounder moved up, gave him a hell of a time, and the guy was very limited, couldn't punch on the move, and was giving Ryan Garcia fits, and, came on in the 5th and 6th round, and had Garcia not got on his bike and opened up a shot and clipped him, it might have been a long night for Ryan Garcia. I don't see any improvement from him. I see this. I see the same thing, throwing punches, chin up in the air, throwing these long hooks and everything else. And if he's back in there with Tank Davis, I think you get the same result. Again, no improvement. What are your thoughts on Ryan Garcia?
I mean, he got the win. I mean, the hook is there. We all know he has the hook in his repertoire, and it comes fast and it hits hard. But I don't know. It was like a weird fight he was fighting, like his style. Like I didn't understand what, and maybe I was like, maybe this is something I don't know. But I seen other fighters like, what is this weird shoulder roll thing he's doing? Yeah. And he broke it out of nowhere. It seems like, I don't know, like he was trying stuff, and I gotta commend him. Like he's trying to add stuff to his repertoire. Yeah, he's trying to add stuff, but I don't think that's the time to try that out right then and there. Like, I mean, it worked for him, but I mean, if he goes against somebody who's a better fighter, I don't know, because when he first started doing it, I thought he got hit in the stomach or something. It was just weird to me how he was. And then, he stood and traded for a little bit with the guy a little bit. And it just like he didn't know what he wanted to do. And even when the Coach Derek was sitting there saying, be on the move. He can't punch when he moves. Be on the move. And it's like for him to be such a tall fighter, rangy fighter, he doesn't know how to fight at range, it seems like. He doesn't know how to use his jab. So he's running around the ring and he starts getting the boos because Derek's telling you to move around the ring, but he's also telling you he's not telling you not to throw punches. Like I even heard, who was it? Sean Porter, right? He was on the call, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So even he was saying like he's moving, like he's telling them, but he's not throwing any punches. That's why he's getting the boos. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's moving, but he's not punching. And it was just like you're losing this round because you're just running around the ring, running around. So I think he has a ton of work. I mean, I think he looked worse than he did when he fought Tank. He looked better when he fought Tank than he does now. I don't know if because trainer switch and he's trying to learn new things, but I haven't seen any of Derek's fighter do shoulder roll and things like that. I don't know if he pulled that out himself and he wanted to try it. I have no idea what it was, but hey, he won. So hey, he was winning most of the rounds until like the last two, and then he clipped them.
I don't know. I feel like this kid is stagnating, and I feel like that, that loss to Tank. I mean, in boxing, when you lose, I feel like it's like one of the only combat sports where you come back and they give you an easy touch. They try to build your confidence back up, which I think is horseshit. I think you should always fight, people that are going to make you better. But he didn't look better, man. He looked worse to me. I'm with you. I thought he looked better in his last fight, maybe even in the fights before that. He looked better. I think this switching trainers thing every time you lose is a cop out. I think people need to do a better job taking accountability for just losing, dude. Just take the ass whipping, man. I mean, it happens to everybody. If you're a real fighter, you challenge yourself and you fight the best guys in their prime. Like, I don't care who you are, you're very likely going to lose. It's almost impossible not to. And so, I don't know, man. It stunk. Gary, to me, it stunk of everything that's wrong with boxing, right? He fought this guy who wasn't on his level. or was it supposed to be? Because it was supposed to be an easy touch. The guy was a 135er having to move up to 143. So, the guy had no leverage because Ryan's the A side. And then, I didn't have a tremendous issue with the stoppage, but, I heard a couple people complain about it. I don't know. It just, the changing of the trainers. I mean, it had the mark of everything wrong with boxing for me.
Well, I'll say this. I'll give Ryan his credit, and more credit than I'll give a lot of guys out there. Ryan has been going for the big fights. He fought Tank, and some people would have advised him at that point not to fight Tank. I think Oscar and Bernard did not want him to fight Tank at that point.
Well, but you know what? That was another, but that was another leverage thing, though, right? Because he had to cut down to a weight where, and because Tank is the A side, so in this situation, Garcia,
but he didn't have to take. He didn't have to go take the fight. A lot of other fighters wasn't.
I know, Gary. No, I know, Gary. I know, but
and then he just recently, and then I don't mean to cut you off, but then he just recently offered Tio a fight. And that's I don't think he should do that at all right now.
Don't do that one. No, don't do that one.
But Tio, I don't know if you heard. Tio turned it down because he said it wasn't enough money. It was only 1.5, and that's a big fight.
I heard about that.
So he's going for it. He's going for it.
Yeah.
I don't think he should at this point, but he is.
Yeah, I think my point is, I understand that he, wasn't forced to fight. He's taking the fight, but I think these guys should be willing to fight each other on even terms more readily, because I don't care what anyone says. He was definitely. I don't think he would have beat Tank anyway, but he would have had a better chance had he not been drained. And Duarte, maybe if Duarte didn't have to move up from 135 to 143 to fight him, things would have been different. But it's always this A side versus B side thing, and it's just I think it hurts the reputation. I think it hurts the reputation of boxing, and it hurts the matchup. When you win, it takes credibility away from you. If you're a hardcore fan, it takes a little bit of the credibility away when you win in a situation like that.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't agree with that just because of the fact of it's a business. I'm fighting. I'm risking my life, but I want to make money. I want to make the most money I can. And at the same time, is that it's always been there. It's always been like this is an A side, B side to the fight game. And
but it's not like that. But it's not like that in the UFC. I mean, there's weight classes.
Because Dana decides, but still, one fighter's getting more money than the other fighter.
Oh yeah,
still,
right. But I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about them fighting on a level playing field, right? Because in a situation where you have an A side guy versus a B side guy, I mean, the A side guy is going to get everything he wants, and that includes advantages in the fight, weight advantages. Maybe the gloves.
Well, he earned that though.
Maybe the ring side. I'm saying, yeah, I know you earned that, right? I know you earned that. But in the UFC, you're fighting on a level playing field, and we're finding out who really is the better man, typically. You know what I mean? I mean, we know who the better man is there.
If you're a special fighter, you're a good fighter. And you go, I'm just gonna put it out here like this. Yeah. You're a special fighter, because if you look at people like we seen Canelo go up in ranks, we seen Pacquiao, we seen Mayweather go up and down. He fought Canelo, and Canelo was 15 pounds bigger than him when he fought him. And you see fighters do this all. Canelo went up and fought and Bivol. He lost. You can say it was not a level playing field. He didn't have to go up there. He went up there. He beat a guy up there already. And so I mean. For Tank, you want me to let this guy blow up and have an advantage on me now, so he can blow up and then he has the advantage. Right. So I don't want that. If I chose to fight at 135 and you say you want to fight me, then let's fight at 135 or 10 pounds or heavier, and that's the most. But this is where I'm fighting at. If I wanted to fight 150 pounders, 154 or 147, I would go up there. I'm not ready to go fight anybody that big. So if you want to fight me, you want the payday that I can provide you, you got to play by my rules. And the same thing is nothing new, because Mayweather did this with De La Hoya. Even though Mayweather was undefeated, De La Hoya called all the shots. De La Hoya did the same thing with Pacquiao. De La Hoya was the A side. Both of those fighters said, "I'll take it." Beat the Pacquiao beat the crap out of De La Hoya. Mayweather beat him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and they blew up to mega stars. Devin Haney. This is his beef with Shakur. He says, "Hey, dude said, come over to where I live. And even if you beat me, the rematch is still going to be where I live. And I'm only going to give you 25%. He took on a challenge. He beat him. Now he calls the shots. And that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not a fan of it. Game Bred Fight TV. He's in here. He says, I hope everything is good with you, George. It's been a while. I'm not sure who you are, Game Bred. Maybe you can refresh my recollection here. Probably haven't been on the channel in a while, but I appreciate you being here. And guys, if it's your first time, please subscribe to the channel, join the channel, and support the channel. Me and Gary do this every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. if he has football practice. And I really appreciate it. Coach Jose. Oh, shit. Okay, now I remember. What's up, Coach Jay? Long time, man. Long time. So next up, I wanted to talk about David Benavidez a little bit with you because you said, I told you he was special. I told you I think he's elite. You disagree. You don't think he's special. You don't think he's elite. I think you're a crazy person, obviously, for saying that. Tell me why. Tell me why this guy who, just absolutely smashes everybody he fights, all the best guys in his division, has never lost, is, I believe, one of the youngest, champs in history or something in his weight class, probably, the youngest or one of the youngest in history, and just passes the eye test, doesn't get tired, I haven't seen him hurt. Has the length, has the reflexes, has the quickness. Why is this guy, Gary, not elite in your opinion?
Well, first of all, let me just say this. I like the guy. I picked him to beat. Hold on. I picked him to beat Boo Boo. I picked him to beat Boo Boo. I wanted him to beat Boo Boo because I want him and Canelo to fight because I think it will be a good fight. Now, I think Canelo will win. I think Canelo will show him some it's levels to it, a little bit like that. I think Canelo will win, but I think it'll be a good fight. Entertaining fight. So I didn't want to see Boo Boo fight Canelo because I thought that wasn't going to be a great fight. Yeah. But, I think we toss around this word elite too much. Just because we have to say elite, somebody's elite, this guy's elite, this side. And I feel like right now in his career, he still has, a little bit more to grow. It's kind of like when Canelo was killing everybody. And then he stepped up to a level and it was like, and Canelo learned. And even now, Canelo's growing. If you see Canelo grew to even like that fighter he was before, he's way better than that fighter. And he was good then. But that's why he says the Canelo now, even though you can say you can see he's aging, he lost a little bit of maybe his athleticism or something, but he gained it up here. He has the knowledge up here, and he has everything. So right now, I don't really think Benavidez is like he has fast hands. He is long. He is a tall guy, long, fast hands. He has pretty good defense. His feet could be better. I feel, I feel like his feet could be better. Like I said, I think he's a very good fighter. That was my argument for you from the beginning. Is he's he's not in that elite category yet. Maybe at some point in his career, after gaining some more, he will get in that elite category. I just knew he was gonna beat Boo Boo. I didn't really think Boo Boo was gonna beat him. And I never thought Caleb Plant was gonna beat him because I think Caleb Plant is a B fighter. He's somebody who you can go in and fight and get a name. It's a good name to fight, and he's gonna give you a good fight. But he doesn't have anything to keep Benavidez off of him, really. Just like he didn't have anything to keep Canelo off of him. And he's a slick fighter, but I just didn't think he could keep somebody of that size and that speed and power off of him. Same thing with Boo Boo. I thought Boo Boo was eventually going to get into a fight, a brawl, and it wasn't going to be to it. But now, if he does beat Canelo, which I don't think he will, I think Canelo's still a superior boxer and can hit just as good as him. And he knows the tricks of trade. I think he's going to beat him. And like I said, I don't have him in my top 5. Trying to think of a top 10. I'm talking about all of boxing. Now in his division, yes, he is elite. He's top in his division, but it's no knock against him. It's just like I don't think the Charlo brothers are elite, even though we've seen him fight his big brother. You've seen him win again. I don't think it's a lot of fighters that were really good fighters.
So you think he's the best? So you think he's the best in his division? Benavidez?
Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, I might have to give it to him.
Well, Canelo's in his division, bro.
Well, Canelo goes up and down. See, you're trying to not play these trick questions. Canelo jumped division. I'm talking about Canelo come back down and say I'm in this division again. Well, Canelo's been fighting different divisions.
Canelo holds pretty much all the titles at super middleweight. And I mean, that's where Benavidez is. So, that's the only guy left for him.
I think like I said, I think Benavidez is probably the best guy there for Canelo to fight. So I think Benavidez is the best guy there.
What would he have to do to be elite or special, in your opinion? He has to beat Canelo?
That will be one. If it's a good fight and I see him and Canelo go at it and it's a close fight, he doesn't get washed or anything, but he shows that he can go up against somebody the caliber of Canelo, somebody who has the knowledge and everything of Canelo, and go in there and make it a competitive fight. He don't necessarily have to beat him, but if it's a close competitive fight, then I'll say, oh yeah, that guy he has it. Like
he's elite, special or no?
Huh? No, he'll be elite. I'll move him to elite. I still don't see special. Still don't see special, but you can be elite and not special.
Well, didn't Caleb Plant have a competitive fight with Canelo?
I mean, yeah, it was competitive for a while. Then he walked him down. So then he walked him down. So did Billy Joe Saunders. Are we saying? But Billy Joe.
Come on, he cracked Billy Joe's orbital bone and got him out of there.
Yeah, but before then it was still a fight, George.
It's always a fight before that, but he got him out of there. I'm talking about Caleb Plant, slick fighter. Lasted, I want to say, to what? The 11th round? Yeah, to the 11th round against Canelo Alvarez. Would you consider Caleb Plant elite? I mean, if those are your parameters. I'm just asking, because he got Billy Joe out of there in 8 rounds. Caleb Plant was 11.
He dropped Caleb at 11th. He was winning that fight before he dropped him. But I'm saying he dropped him. He knocked him out. I mean, like I said, just looking at Benavidez, when I look at special guys, elite guys, you're looking at, I'll put it like this. You could be a Hall of Famer. Like James Toney is a Hall of Famer. Would you not agree?
You got Shakur Stevenson. Wait a minute.
Wait.
Do you got Shakur Stevenson over David Benavidez?
Elite, yeah. I think Shakur Stevenson is the next big thing.
What?
I think he's
who has Shakur? Wait a minute.
George, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why.
Who has Shakur?
I look at them fight. I looked at Benavidez fight. I don't think he's there yet. But if he goes and prove it to me against Canelo, then I'll be like, hey, maybe I was wrong. The dude is there now. But Shakur Stevenson, I've been watching Shakur Stevenson for a while. He has it, man. I think he's the next big thing. His last fight sucked. I'll be frank, but supposedly he had an injury. He won with the injury,
Don't let him off the hook, Gary. Don't let him off the hook.
Like what, 25 lefts they said or something?
Don't let him off the hook, man.
But the 3 fights before then, he was walking dudes down nasty. He started getting nasty with dudes.
Yeah,
now you can say they didn't have power like that.
Walking dudes down nasty. So he TKO'd Yoshino, but before that, he won a unanimous decision over Robson Conceição, and before that, a unanimous decision.
So the last 3 fights, he wasn't. I'm asking you. So the last 3 fights of Shakur Stevenson, he wasn't standing and fighting in the trade in the middle of the ring, or was he moving around like the last fight? He
fought Valdez 3 fights ago, and he was definitely the ring general in that fight. I wouldn't say he was running or anything, but my
he
question
wasn't running. He wasn't running around.
Right. But my question is, me and you agree on Shakur being special or maybe even being elite because he passes the eye test. But as far as his resume, it's not David Benavidez's resume. It's
not better. No, it's not. I agree.
So he's elite and special to us because we see his skills and we're impressed.
And I don't see that in Benavidez.
You don't see skills in Benavidez.
No, I see skills. I don't see Shakur level skills in Benavidez.
But you're talking about a guy, Gary. You're talking about a guy in Benavidez, right? You're not going to see that because you're talking about a guy who's a lightweight or a super featherweight or a featherweight versus a guy who's cutting down 168 pounds, super middleweight, 6'2". I mean, can you really expect the same sort of, movement and everything else from a guy, David Benavidez? I mean, listen, for his size, he's doing really incredible things, bro.
No, don't get me wrong, guy. Like I said, he's a very good fighter. I picked him to beat Boo Boo. But it's just like when we sit here and we talk about like Roy Jones fight at 168, he was something special. Now, he wasn't as big as Benavidez, but Roy was something special though at 168. I mean, this was something like amazing athlete, speed, power, crazy, generational talent. Everybody says like, "Oh man, that got talent." And this is why I look at Boots and I say elite, because now people are saying, "Oh, Boots has that type of level of talent that Roy Jones Jr. had." And it's not me saying this. These are boxers, coaches saying that this guy has that level of talent, that level of talent. That's elite talent to me. Bud Crawford is elite talent to me because Bud Crawford is a hell of an athlete. He's fast, strong. The man squats like what? Like what do you know? He deadlifted. What was that? I heard Greg
beats Crawford. But you think Boots beats Crawford?
Yeah, I like Boots over Crawford. He's still elite. But I mean, Bud is still elite.
You're crazy,
but you're going against another elite fighter.
Crazy.
So you're crazy,
man.
So you're saying Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins both weren't elite fighters, but Roy still beat Bernard.
I thought they were, but Bernard beat Roy later on in life too.
Oh my God, that was when Roy was washed. Come on, that was the worst fight. That second fight they had was the worst fight in fucking. Dixon fought that fight. Okay, so don't bring that fight up. Roy was brain dead by the time getting hit in the head.
But both of them being elite has nothing to do with Boots beating Crawford, bro. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. A guy who's a tremendous athlete versus a guy who's a tremendous athlete and a tremendous boxer. Like, Crawford ticks all the boxes, bro. Let me tell you, Boots is a good boxer, but he's not the boxer Bud Crawford is, bro. He's just not. And as far as athleticism, they're on par. The only difference is Bud Crawford is a way better boxer, bro. I'm sorry.
Way better? That's crazy. Way better boxer.
Bro, it's another level. It's another level. And if they fight, I'm a wash you in cold water for this interview. Because I'm telling you, you're gonna buy me a beer. You're gonna buy me a beer.
A way better boxer. That's crazy. That's crazy to say a way better. Hey, like for you, it's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, please interject. I'm gonna have a stroke if this man tries telling me.
You're saying a way better boxer, but Bud himself is saying the kid's special. After I leave 147, he's running it. He's
after I leave. Of course,
that's what he's gonna say.
That means
who's not gonna say that? Who's not gonna say that?
No, bro. Listen, bro. The lion is still in the den, and until the lion leaves,
I can't wait. Boots has the belt now. Hey, listen. Boots has a belt now. Now people can't say, hey, he doesn't have anything I want, Keith Thurman. He doesn't have anything I want. He now people can't say that, oh, he's not a draw, whatever. All this other crap, all these other excuses these guys are making. Get in the ring with him now. Now we don't have to speculate how good he is. He's gonna wash those guys. He's gonna wash them. I'm telling you. He's gonna knock them out. Okay, all right. I'm going to tell you,
bro.
I'm going to tell you, he's going to wash him. Now, I don't think he washes Bud. I don't think he washes Bud, but I think he beats Bud.
Shout out to Fight Commentary Extras, who says, love the energy of this discussion. I appreciate you, Fight Commentary. This is how me and Gary talk to each other for years now. We drive each other crazy and we want to kill each other, but that's what, that's what makes us buddies on this fight stuff. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Gary. So, okay, so let me entertain your craziness a little bit. So, is Boots more or less of an athlete than Bud, or are they on the same level?
About the same. He's a little bit bigger than Bud, though.
So how does he beat Bud Crawford? Is he a better boxer?
I mean, it's close. They're about the same to me. I mean, it's close around the same. Boots is a little bit bigger.
If you were to train, wait a minute. If you were to train and you had to pick one of them to train you in their style, who are you picking?
I wouldn't be able to do anything either one of them does. Man, I'm just saying, if I had to pick one, I would pick boot style. I would pick boot style. If I had to pick one, I'll pick Boots. I would pick Boots. Because here's the thing is,
bro, you don't understand. You don't understand boxing, bro. You don't understand.
No, you don't.
You don't understand boxing, bro.
No, you don't. Because here's the thing is, what is one of the knocks on Terrence Crawford? What is one of the knocks?
What is it? What's the knock on Terrence Crawford? What is it?
He starts slow, right? Does he not? Does he not start slow?
Did he start slow against the bigger Errol Spence? What happened, bro? What happened to Errol Spence, bro? What happened to Errol Spence, who was the bigger guy? What did that size advantage do, bro? He bullied Errol Spence.
Are we really comparing? Listen, wait. Are we really comparing Errol Spence to Bud not Bud and Boots in athleticism?
No,
not
athleticism. Not athleticism. You said he's bigger.
No, Errol Spence has admitted on a podcast. He said before he fought Bud, he says people should think Bud should beat me. He's more athletic. He's more special than me. That's why people are picking Bud. He said that out of his own mouth. You can't say that about Boots. You can't go. Boots is not going to sit there and say he's more special. He's more athletic than me. It will never be that. Errol said that before they fought. Errol literally knows that he's faster and more special.
You're mentioning the size. You're mentioning the size like a 26-year-old. Let me reiterate this: a 26-year-old versus a 36 grown man strength having Bud Crawford. A 26-year-old Boots Ennis is he gonna outmuscle? Is he gonna outbully Bud Crawford, who has a wrestling base?
Well, hold on. First of all, that's not even.
Bro.
Hold on.
Might as well be a wrestler.
Hold on. First of all, Boots' style is not bullying, but Boots' style is aggressive. He pressures you. He's in for inside fighting and outside fighting.
So when I'm
talking about bullying, I'm talking about he's not pushing you in. You know what I mean? No straightforward fight. He's not doing that.
So he's going to have to out athlete and outbox Terrence Crawford to beat him.
I just feel like he's just a little bit better than Terrence Crawford. And
in what is he better than Terrence Crawford?
He has power in both hands, Boots. He has power in both hands.
So does Terrence Crawford. He's one of the best switch hitters in all of boxing, bro. That's what everybody talks about when they bring up Terrence Crawford.
Boots switch hits just as good. And Boots is more dangerous on both sides. Boots is more dangerous on both sides.
It's level, bro.
What side does? Okay, let me ask you something. What side does Terrence Crawford go to that you think that he's better in?
Bro,
which side he gets most of his knockouts in?
He's better in everything, bro. He's better.
Which side does he get? No. Which side? No. Listen to me. I'm asking you about Bud. Which side is Bud's best side? Because we know he fought orthodox.
Southpaw.
Southpaw. When he wants to knock out, he goes to southpaw. Yeah. When Boots wants to knock out, it don't matter what side he's on. He's better on. He's just as good on each side. He's just as good on each side, and his feet are faster than Bud's. Bud's hand speed, they're about the same, but his feet are fast. He's more young. He's younger. His feet are faster than Bud's. I don't care what you're saying. His footwork, his footwork is faster than Bud's.
Maybe not, but his boxing ability is not Bud Crawford's boxing ability, bro. It's
if
not.
you say so. Because
that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I'm not.
I said, if you say so, we got to see him fight. Because let me tell you something.
Bro. You bet me. You bet me if that fight happens. You put a bet on that. You bet on Boots. You'll bet on Boots.
I will bet George if that fight happens. I don't believe it will. I don't believe it will happen. But if it happens, I will bet George on Boots.
You know why? You know why it won't happen, right? You know why it won't happen, right?
Because Boots, I mean,
Boots' team doesn't want nothing to do with that, bro.
Man, come on.
They don't want nothing to do with that, bro.
I hate when people say stuff like that.
Bro, they don't want nothing to do with that guy, bro. That guy's a problem.
They said the same thing about. They're saying that this is what I hate real quick. Come on now, you know fighters better than that. You know boxing better than that. They say Bud doesn't want to fight Boots. That's BS. Boots don't want to fight Bud. That's BS. They both want to fight, but right now they're on different levels. Like, you got to understand. Terrence Crawford, he said multiple times, I have bigger fights in his mind to fight. And by every right, he should do that. By every right, he should do that. He's not scared. He's not scared, but by every right, he's 36. And they're in different parts of their careers. Boots is 26.
Yeah, he's 10 years ahead.
So I think his goals are different.
And I agree. I think they would fight each other if it's up to them. But I do think I'll agree that Crawford is at a level now where he's just going to pick and choose because he's earned that according to boxing, right? Because that's how boxing is. And not that I agree with that, but that's how it is. And Ennis, if you're Ennis's management, I mean, you put him in there against Crawford. I mean, I don't,
why not?
I don't.
Why not? He's had over 30 fights.
I think he gets destroyed. I think what happens is Mayweather.
See, now what you're doing is what I hate in boxing. You're doing is what I hate in boxing because he'll get destroyed. He'll get destroyed. Guess what Canelo did at 21? He went and fought one of the greatest fighters ever.
Let me tell you, and I'm glad you bring that up. Because that is what happens if they ever fight Canelo versus Mayweather. You know what? Exactly what's going to happen.
Canelo gets 100%. Canelo gets 100% of my love because he was willing to go. He didn't want to wait around. No, let's fight him. He lost. Guess what? Canelo lost. He got better, and he's still around. See, the problem with boxing nowadays is people wait till they're in their 30s and stuff like this to fight each other. This is the problem you have, right? Oh, because he's not ready. Oh, he's not. Go fight. If you lose, you lose.
I didn't say he's not ready. I didn't say he's not ready. I say his management.
You said if I was his management, I wouldn't put him in there with Bud.
No, I didn't say if I was his manager. I said I don't think his management would put him in there. I don't think they would.
Why not? He's been asking for it.
That's how boxing is. That's how boxing is. And you can't have your cake. And Gary, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say that's the problem with boxing, yada, 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 boom, 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 that they're different ages and they don't want to fight each other, boom, 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 and then say, oh, but Tank Davis earned that right to be A-side. Oh, but Ryan Garcia earned that right to be A-side. You can't do that, Gary.
No, yes, I can. Yes, I can. You know why? No, I'm not. Earning to be an A-side does not mean you do not fight anybody. Earning to be an A-side means I call the shots. That doesn't mean you don't fight anybody, that you run from a tough fight. And I don't believe Bud is. Now, see, if Bud went and fought somebody for money that was a trash fight, I would say that. Bud's not looking for trash fights at all. He's trying to fight somebody else who is also great. He's trying to fight Canelo, for God's sake, and make money at the same time. He can fight Boots. He's not going to make what he's going to make Canelo. And Canelo is a more established, accomplished fighter than Boots. So my thing is that now if Bud has now had the belts and now he's picking and choosing people who we all know he can beat, I would say something. He's not doing that. And Tank is not doing well. I personally feel that Tank
has almost never had a real challenge, bro.
And then so then I think they're playing the money game with Tank for right now. I think it's time for him to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Who's the top guy?
That guy's fought nobody. I love Tank, but he's fought nobody, bro. He's fucking fought nobody.
I think it's time for him to start fighting some of these other guys. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying. So, but like I'm saying is that I'm okay with Boots. He's young. He had 30 fights. When he's gonna fight somebody of the Bud's level? When he got 40 fights?
I think when he's 40 fights. I think Boots should fight the Mexican kid and Stanionis. What was the Mexican kid's name?
You talking about Ortiz or something?
Virgil Ortiz. Yeah. I think those guys should fight for
they
that.
Don't want to fight him.
Huh?
George, but you're saying that. But when he wanted to fight Virgil earlier, they said, that fight is like 4 years out.
No, that'd be a good fight. That'd be after
he would destroy Virgil. He would destroy Virgil.
After Ennis's last fight against Royman Villa, where he looked like he got hit a bunch of times, and I didn't think he looked that impressive, I would love to see a Virgil Ortiz fight. But he was rolling with a lot of those punches, and it had no effect. It wasn't rolling with shit. He was getting hit left and right.
People are crazy.
He was getting hit left and right. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah, how you say his name again? Vila. You always correct me on how to say his name. How you say his name again? He beat the crap out of him. You had other fighters saying they need to stop this fight. He beat the living dog shit out of him.
The guy went 10 rounds with Royman Villa, bro. Stop it.
A guy who's never been knocked out. A guy who before then had one fight.
That guy was hitting him with crude, ugly punches.
Oh my God! When did you see him hurt? He hit him with so many crude, ugly shots. How many times you seen him hurt? Because a lot of those shots that you think were hitting clean weren't hitting clean.
Look. I did a video about it where I said I think Ennis would beat Ortiz like easy. But then I watched that performance, and you take it how you want. I'm going to take it how I want. I want to see Ortiz versus this guy Ennis. That's what I want to see.
I guarantee you he knocks Ortiz out. I guarantee you he knocks Ortiz out.
No way knocked out.
Ortiz does not have the footwork, the athleticism to deal with that. He'll be flat-footed. He'll be just like Villa out there. Swing it. He'll be just like Villa.
No, he's nothing like Villa out there. Crazy. Ortiz is not like Villa, bro. He's fast and he's aggressive. It's not like Villa at all.
Yeah, but he's a straight. You know how many shots he takes? You telling me you haven't watched Ortiz fight?
You know how many shots Ennis takes?
Not as many. Boots don't take as many shots as Ortiz. I think Ortiz tastes like a fucking tomato. What are you talking about?
All right.
Well, like a fucking tomato, and you're gonna compare how you're gonna? Are you seriously right now comparing Ortiz defense to Boots' defense? Are you serious right now, man?
We've been on here for an hour, and we've been on here for over an hour and 7 minutes, and I'm glad we've come to the conclusion that I don't even remember what we were talking about anymore.
Exactly.
That David Benavidez is elite, and that Bud Crawford is better than Boots Ennis. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. You know, me and Gary are going to be doing this every Monday at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. If Gary has to push the children, because Gary loves the kids. And we'll be back to talk to you guys, and we'll be dropping more content. So appreciate you guys joining. Gary, thank you for your time, man.
Yeah.